In Britain, a devastating zombie virus escapes from a laboratory, swiftly spreading across the populace and resulting in numerous fatalities. Don and his wife Alice, distinguished by her heterochromatic eyes, seek refuge in a secluded countryside cottage along with fellow survivors Jeff, Sally, Jacob, and Karen. Grateful that their children are safe on a school trip to Spain, Don and Alice find solace in their temporary sanctuary. During a routine lunch, the group is interrupted by frantic pounding on their door, accompanied by pleas for assistance. Initially hesitant to welcome strangers, Don relents upon hearing the desperate voice of a child, persuaded by Alice's insistence. After offering the young boy sustenance, he recounts a harrowing tale of fleeing from his zombified parents and their pursuing horde, traversing from a nearby town to seek refuge with the group. Meanwhile, Karen expresses concern for her absent boyfriend, who ventured out days earlier and has yet to return. Her attempt to survey the surroundings by peering through a partially obscured window inadvertently attracts the attention of nearby zombies, leading to a sudden and violent breach as they lunge through the wooden barrier, seizing Karen and inflicting a fatal bite. Jacob rushes to Karen's aid, pulling her away from the advancing zombies, only to witness her transformation into a bloodthirsty undead. As she violently resists his grasp, Don intervenes, swiftly dispatching her with a decisive blow to the head, allowing Jacob to flee. With more zombies closing in, Don valiantly stays behind to hold them off, buying time for the others to escape. Meanwhile, Jeff, Sally, and Jacob make a break for the cottage barn, yet find themselves pursued by the relentless undead. Unable to rescue Sally, Jacob shuts the hatch to protect himself, escaping through a window. Downstairs, Don valiantly battles the zombies, but loses his weapon in the fray, forcing him to flee. Upon hearing Alice's screams, Don rushes to her aid. Fearful, Don abandons them, leaving Alice and the child to face the encroaching horde. Don flees across the farmland, pursued by a horde of zombies, ultimately reaching the river dock where Jacob is attempting to escape on a motorboat. Don initiates the boat's motor, but Jacob's attempt to board ends in disaster as he falls into the water, where he's bitten and transformed into a zombie. Don, forced to defend himself, dispatches Jacob with the boat's propeller blades before sailing away to safety. 15 days after the outbreak, Britain falls under quarantine, marking a grim end to the harrowing ordeal. By day 28, the ravaging virus has left Britain in ruins, decimating the entire country. 5 days later, the once ferocious zombies begin to perish due to starvation, signaling a glimmer of hope amidst the devastation. 11 weeks pass before NATO forces from the USA arrive in London to initiate cleanup efforts. After 18 weeks of relentless toil, Britain is finally declared free of infection, marking the dawn of reconstruction by week 24. Despite the arduous rebuilding process, the return of Britain to escape during the chaos bolsters morale. However, the return of school trip attendees irks Dr. Scarlett, who deems it premature for young individuals to face such exposure. As she conducts tests on the newcomers, she encounters Tammy and Andy, who, unbeknownst to her, are Don and Alice's children. Noticing Andy's heterochromatic eyes, Scarlett learns of their mother's trait, prompting Andy to confide in her. Once cleared of any infection, the siblings embark on a journey by train, observing the meticulous cleanup efforts undertaken by soldiers. Their journey leads them to District 1, a fortified repatriation zone where they reunite with their father Don. Despite his affluent accommodations as the district's caretaker, the children are consumed by thoughts of their missing mother. Don recounts a fabricated tale of Alice's demise during the zombie attack on the cottage, concealing the truth to shield them from further anguish. Haunted by nightmares of his mother's transformation, Andy seeks solace by sleeping alongside his sister. The following morning, fueled by a desire to uncover the truth, Andy and Tammy clandestinely depart the safety of their father's apartment. Evading detection, they venture beyond the fortified zone, crossing the bridge under the watchful eye of Doyle, stationed atop a nearby roof. As Doyle alerts his team, the siblings dart through an uninhabited sector of London, relishing the freedom from adult supervision. Spotting a delivery bike outside a pizzeria, Tammy ventures inside to retrieve the keys, only to be greeted by the grisly sight of decaying bodies strewn about. Suppressing her horror, Tammy cautiously retrieves the keys from a corpse. Together, they set off on the bike, traversing through the city's desolate streets, witnessing the aftermath of the zombie onslaught and the proliferation of fresh graves. Arriving at their former residence, they gather mementos of their mother, Alice, and reminisce over their shared memories. In the attic, Andy makes a chilling discovery. Peculiar markings and their names adorning the walls alongside a table strewn with decaying food. A figure appears in the mirror, initially mistaken for Tammy, but reveals herself to be Alice, bearing a bloodshot eye, otherwise unharmed. Overwhelmed with joy at her unexpected presence, Andy's elation turns to apprehension as Alice's embrace becomes increasingly forceful. The military swiftly intervenes, apprehending the children and capturing Alice. Subjected to a thorough examination, Alice's apparent immunity to the virus perplexes Scarlet, who discovers she was bitten but remains untransformed. Recognizing Alice as a potential key to developing a vaccine, Scarlet faces opposition from higher authorities who... Meanwhile, confined to quarantine, the siblings confront Dawn for his deceit, expressing their anger and betrayal. Ridden with guilt, Dawn bypasses military security to visit Alice in isolation, extending a heartfelt apology and explaining his actions as a response to panic. Touched by his sincerity, Alice reciprocates with a heartfelt declaration of love, forging a fragile bond amidst the chaos and uncertainty. In a tragic turn of events, Dawn's return brings a horrific transformation as Alice's infected saliva triggers his swift descent into zombification. As Alice watches in horror, restrained and unable to intervene, Dawn succumbs to the virus' effects, unleashing a frenzied attack on his wife before turning on the hospital guards, spreading the infection further as he flees into District 1. The revelation of Dawn's transformation prompts swift action from the authorities, who initiate a lockdown protocol, Code Red seeking refuge in a safety bunker. Meanwhile, Tammy and Andy, bearing witness to the chaos unfolding around them, are confronted with the horrifying reality as their guardian succumbs to the virus. Scarlet, recognizing the urgency of the situation, prioritizes the safety of the children amidst the ensuing chaos. Amidst the frantic attempt to evacuate, Andy becomes separated from Scarlet and Tammy, finding himself locked in a garage with other civilians as darkness descends upon the district. In the eerie confines of the garage, Andy's worst fears are realized as his zombified father Don breaks in, triggering a desperate struggle for survival. The once contained chaos erupts into pandemonium as the virus spreads rapidly among the terrified civilians, transforming them into a horde of ravenous zombies. With the situation rapidly deteriorating, Andy navigates the treacherous environment, seeking refuge in the ventilation system as the infected masses overrun the garage. As the lock is broken and the horde spills into the streets, Andy's desperate escape marks the beginning of a harrowing battle for survival in a world consumed by the relentless onslaught of the zombie apocalypse. As emergency lights flicker to life, soldiers rush to the hospital, their path illuminated by the determined snipers providing cover from the rooftops. Despite their admirable marksmanship, the relentless tide of zombies proves overwhelming, blurring the lines between friend and foe amidst the chaos. In a grim acknowledgement of the situation's direness, the higher-ups concede to the loss of control, issuing a chilling order for the indiscriminate elimination of all perceived threats. Amidst the unfolding carnage, Andy emerges from the vents, thrust into the heart of the bloodshed. In a stroke of luck, he finds himself under the watchful eye of Doyle, who refuses to abandon survivors to a grim fate. With precise shots, Doyle clears a path for Andy and the other survivors, risking his own safety to ensure their escape. As the group seeks refuge in a warehouse, they are joined by Scarlet, Tammy, and Doyle. Doyle offers to guide them to safety, mindful of the impending military bombardment set to obliterate District 1. Moving swiftly and stealthily through the shadows, they evade detection by vigilant guards, their survival hanging by a thread. With Flynn's helicopters circling overhead, Doyle orchestrates a clever distraction, buying the group precious time to navigate the treacherous streets. However, Flynn's revelation of the impending bombing casts a grim shadow over their escape plan. Determined to ensure their survival, Doyle negotiates with Flynn, arranging a rendezvous at Regent's Park. Scarlet sustains a flesh wound as the relentless sniper continues to pick off survivors, leaving only a handful standing. With time running out and danger closing in, they steel themselves for the perilous journey ahead. Desperate for a distraction, Doyle implores Sam to draw the shooter's fire with a zigzag run, but Sam hesitates. Andy, determined to protect the group, volunteers instead. His erratic movements confound the shooter, providing Doyle with the opportunity to eliminate the threat. Andy's heart pounds as he glimpses his father nearby, but before he can react, the group intervenes, whisking him to safety. Don's apparition vanishes as they hasten their escape, scaling a fence to flee District 1 just moments before it is engulfed in flames and obliterated by the impending bombing. In the chaos of the detonations, Scarlet's hopes for a cure are incinerated along with countless lives. Alice meets a tragic end amidst the inferno, her image seared into Andy's memory as they race through a tunnel threatened by encroaching flames. As the chaos unfolds, the generals watch in horror from their bunker as a horde of zombies, resilient survivors of the bombing, wreak havoc across London, infiltrating buildings and spreading chaos. At dawn, Doyle's group finally reaches the abandoned Regent's Park, where Scarlet confides in Doyle about Alice's genetic anomaly and the potential for the children to hold the key to a vaccine. However, their reunion is interrupted by Flynn's contact, warning of the approaching zombies. Quick to action, Doyle commands the group to hide in the tall grass as Flynn arrives. However, tensions flare as Flynn, enraged by their presence, refuses to take them. As the argument escalates, the encroaching zombies force Sam to desperate action, clinging to the chopper in a bid for salvation. Flynn's erratic maneuvers send blood and gore flying as he mows down the approaching undead with the helicopter's rotor blades. Despite their efforts, some zombies persist, chasing the group as they flee, their numbers dwindling with each passing moment. Forced to abandon Sam to his fate, the group races onward. Flynn directs them to meet at Wembley Stadium but insists on leaving the others behind, sparking dissent among the group. As they turn a corner, they are confronted with the horrifying sight of the military pumping gas into the city, prompting a desperate scramble for cover inside a car. The zombies descend upon them, shaking the vehicle as the lethal gas seeps in, bringing a swift end to their existence. In the aftermath, soldiers with flamethrowers arrive to eradicate any survivors, prompting Doyle's valiant attempt to start the car and save the others. Despite his efforts, he meets a fiery demise, sacrificing himself to ensure Scarlett and the children's escape from the inferno that engulfs the city. As Scarlett takes control of the car, they quickly become a target for military helicopters, which open fire on them. Despite her best efforts to dodge the bullets, Scarlett decides to drive the car into the subway tunnels to seek refuge. Continuing on foot through the dark and eerie lower tunnels, Scarlett uses Doyle's night vision scope to guide the children down an escalator. Tragically, a misstep on the bodies strewn across the ground causes them to slip and become separated. Amidst the chaos, Scarlett desperately calls out for the siblings, eventually reuniting with Tammy. However, their reunion attracts the attention of a lurking zombie who fatally attacks Scarlett. In the aftermath of the brutal encounter, Tammy is left devastated, but she picks up Doyle's weapon, ready to defend herself and her brother. Meanwhile, Andy finds himself face to face with the same zombie that killed Scarlett, resulting in a fatal bite. Tammy arrives too late to save her brother and is forced to confront the horror of facing her zombified father. Despite the emotional turmoil, she ultimately makes the difficult decision to end his undead existence. With the siblings' traumatic journey culminating at the stadium, they deliver the devastating news of Doyle's demise to Flynn. Left with no other options, Flynn agrees to take the children away, fleeing over Britain and into mainland Europe in a desperate attempt to escape the spreading virus. 28 days later, Flynn's abandoned helicopter serves as a chilling reminder of the harrowing events that transpired. The movie ends, leaving viewers with a sense of dread and uncertainty. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.